The wedding photos were, I mean, they were just picture perfect.
Oh, yeah.
A luxury penthouse in the sky. The whole fandom cheered for their favorite maknae. But behind closed doors, the fairy tale was fracturing.
It really was.
There was a cryptic radio leak, a 6 a.m. bar sighting. In an instant, the ultimate K-pop romance became like the most highly scrutinized breakup of the decade. Welcome to StarScope K-Report.
Join Eric and Minji as they ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
And today's deep dive is custom-tailored for those of you who want the real, sociological mechanics behind the gossip. Think about how we all consume celebrity breakups, right?
Yeah, you immediately want to take a side.
Exactly. When you see a couple split on your timeline, your brain immediately wants to assign a good guy and a bad guy. So we are digging into the messy truth behind T-ara Jiyeon's divorce from baseball star Hwang Jae-gyun.
It is messy.
Very. We are analyzing official agency statements, reports from Kpop and the Korea Junjang Daily, and a deeply revealing academic journal on South Korean adultery laws.
Which is fascinating, by the way.
Oh, it completely changes the context. Our mission here is to figure out the massive cultural shift in how domestic Korean internet users, the netizens, react to idol marriages today.
Right, because the timeline of this relationship is incredibly compressed, and the optics were just meticulously crafted from the start. If we rewind to December 2022, the public was just captivated by this lavish wedding.
It was gorgeous.
It really was. You have Jiyeon, who fans know as both the maknae, so the youngest member, and the aesthetic face of the legendary group T-ara.
Right, absolute royalty in the K-pop world.
Exactly. And she marries KT Wiz baseball player Hwang Jae-gyun, and they established their life in a $5.6 million apartment.
Wow.
On the 54th floor of the Lotte World Tower in Seoul.
Which is insane. I mean, they're sharing an elevator bank with A-listers like Jo In-sung and Jun-soo.
Yeah, it was the ultimate power couple illusion.
Totally. To the fandom, it looked like she had secured this impenetrable happily ever after.
Right.
But the facade cracked in June 2024.
So fast.
Right. Just a year and a half later. A baseball commentator, Lee Kwang-gil, casually leaked a rumor on a live radio broadcast that Hwang was getting a divorce.
Just on live radio?
Just drops it on live radio. And he suggested it was affecting his on-field performance.
Oh, man.
So, of course, the agency scrambled to deny it, and the commentator apologized, but
the damage is done.
Yeah, in the K-pop ecosystem, an unverified rumor isn't just a spark, it's an accelerant. The fans immediately activated their detective skills.
They really did. And that intense scrutiny is what brings us to the real turning point, which was in September 2024.
Right.
Photographs surfaced of Hwang drinking at a bar in Daejeon until 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Surrounded by unfamiliar women. And the public backlash was instantaneous. And just to ground this in the official record, his baseball team, KT Wiz, released a statement confirming he was indeed out drinking until the morning of September 1st.
They actually confirmed it.
They did. However, they defended the behavior by stating it was his day off, with no scheduled games or training.
Okay.
And they firmly declined to comment on who he was with, categorizing it as a private matter.
See, the KT Wiz statement might have satisfied a sports reporter, but that vague private matter defense, that is like throwing gasoline on a fire in the entertainment world.
Oh, absolutely.
It completely changes the narrative genre of this relationship. We went from a sweet, aspirational romantic comedy straight into a heavy, dark melodrama.
Yeah.
And it begs the question, does the immense pressure of being a top-tier K-pop idol's spouse magnify normal relationship friction into a full-blown national crisis?
I mean, I'd argue yes. The pressure cooker of the Hallyu wave, the global spread of Korean pop culture, it absolutely amplifies everything. In a standard marriage outside the public eye, a spouse going out on a day off might trigger an argument at home.
Sure.
But under the microscope of international fandoms, every micro-action is decoded as a reflection of character.
Exactly.
So Hwang's behavior wasn't just viewed as a marital misstep, it was interpreted as a public disrespect to a beloved cultural icon.
And the immediate aftermath for Jiyeon was severe. We saw her step away from her YouTube channel, and she just entered a temporary hiatus.
She went completely silent.
Completely silent. You could physically feel the weight of this public humiliation through her absence.
Right.
I mean, she maintained her composure while her most private pain was just dissected by millions of strangers online.
But, her silence was actually a masterclass in high-stakes PR.
Really? How so?
Well, by stepping back, she allowed the public to fill the void with sympathy, rather than giving them statements to pick apart and overanalyze.
That makes a lot of sense. But wait till you hear what the netizens uncovered next, when Hwang Jae-gyun decided to take his side of the story to national television.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But before we get into that fallout, if you love staying updated on your favorites, make sure you're subscribed to StarScope K-Report, because we've got even bigger scoops ahead.
So, to get into the timeline, the legal conclusion of their marriage actually happened very quietly.
Right.
In November 2024, the divorce was finalized through court mediation. Lawyer Lee In-keol, who analyzed the case for the media, noted that high-profile celebrities frequently utilize court mediation to bypass public exposure entirely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. Neither Jiyeon nor Hwang attended the session in person. Their legal representatives divided the assets privately, closing the chapter without a messy public trial.
Which is the most logical strategy. You sign the papers, you protect your peace, and you move on quietly.
Right.
But Hwang couldn't stay away from the cameras. He didn't just break the silence. He shattered it in the most clumsy way possible.
He really did. Fast forward to early 2026. Hwang retires from his 30-year baseball career and attempts to pivot to reality television.
All right.
And viewers immediately noted a physical transformation. Reports described him as looking gaunt and sunken, which was a stark departure from the polished athletic image he had maintained during the marriage.
The visual shift alone is enough to get the K-netz talking, right?
Yeah.
Like that's already blood in the water.
Yeah.
But then he goes on NBC's The Manager in late January 2026, and he says on camera that he, quote, always dreamed of having children.
Unbelievable.
I couldn't believe he said that.
And the media literacy of the modern audience is incredibly high. Viewers instantly dissected that phrasing.
Obviously.
They interpreted it as an indirect suggestion that Jiyeon either did not want or could not have children.
Wow.
Yeah, subtly shifting the blame for the divorce onto her shoulders.
That is so calculated.
And it gets worse. 2 days later, he appeared on Shin Dong-yup's web variety show, Zzanbro.
Oh, Zzanbro. That appearance was the match in the powder barrel. He sits there, he sighs heavily for the cameras, and he refers to Jiyeon as his first love.
Yeah.
It felt entirely performative.
It was. And the response from the audience provides a perfect example of what the academic journal from KOME calls episodic framing.
Okay, tell me about that.
So historically, individuals involved in scandals try to control the narrative by focusing the public on isolated emotional episodes.
Like a poignant sigh on a talk show.
Exactly, to garner sympathy. Hwang attempted to use traditional episodic framing to cast himself as a misunderstood, heartbroken man.
But he drastically underestimated the audience.
He really did.
The backlash was brutal. And fascinatingly, both domestic Korean fans and international fans were completely united on this.
Which is rare.
Super rare. They accused him of playing the victim and being petty. The comments were just flooding in, saying things like, he brings up his former spouse too often, and he should be more careful when speaking publicly.
Right.
They saw right through the reality TV performance.
Yeah, his failure to anticipate the public's fierce protection of Jiyeon's dignity really highlights a significant miscalculation in his PR strategy. He thought the old playbook would work.
Right. And meanwhile, Jiyeon demonstrated how to actually reclaim a narrative. She didn't release a scathing agency statement or go on a rival talk show to defend herself.
No, she didn't have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In August 2026, she delivered a stunning visual comeback. She released these viral photos preparing for a T-ara stage, wearing a deep red halter top, sleek, sharp eyeliner, and this really mature styling.
Yes.
She looked powerful and totally unbothered.
Yeah.
It was a visual declaration of resilience.
And the aesthetic contrast the media drew between Hwang's gaunt reality TV appearances and Jiyeon's vibrant return to the stage was the ultimate narrative victory.
Totally.
She proves she still possesses that all-kill star power, the ability to captivate the entire industry simultaneously.
And her global fan meetings in Macau, Vietnam, and China cemented that. But I want to pause here because there is a massive industry double standard we really need to interrogate.
Okay, let's get into it.
Usually when a marriage falls apart in the Korean entertainment world, the female idol faces the harshest moral judgments.
Historically, yes, absolutely.
They are often dragged through the mud. Yet here, the public threw an impenetrable shield around Jiyeon. Were Hwang's TV comments just a calculated move that backfired, proving that fans are simply too smart to be manipulated?
Well, the failure of his PR move is only surface level.
Really?
Yeah. To understand why the public threw a shield around Jiyeon and actively punished Hwang, we have to look backwards at a seismic shift in South Korean cultural and legal norms.
And that is the wildest part of this story. To truly understand why the Korean public reacted this way, we have to dig into a dark historical truth about Korean law that completely reframes this entire scandal.
It really does.
But before we dive into the history, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update.
Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the structural foundation of Korean morality laws. We consulted a peer-reviewed academic journal from Ko-omi, authored by Song Chul-hong, titled Abolishing Scarlet Letters.
Right.
And this paper analyzes how the Korean news media framed adultery between 1990 and 2015.
So let's focus on that timeline for a second. Why is 2015 the cutoff year?
Because until February 2015, adultery was an actual criminal offense in South Korea.
Wow.
Yeah. Under Article 241 of the Korean Penal Code, engaging in extramarital affairs could be punished by up to 2 years in prison.
Wait, think about that for a second. We aren't talking about being canceled on the internet.
No.
We are talking about the state literally locking people in prison cells for marital infidelity.
And the scale of it is staggering.
Yeah.
The research notes that in 1985 alone, over 53,000 Koreans were indicted on adultery charges.
53,000.
Yeah, and 35,000 were jailed.
That is insane.
It is. This law traced its roots all the way back to the Chosun dynasty. It was heavily influenced by Confucian ideals, and it was maintained by the modern state to preserve the family system and ensure social stability.
But the research highlights a massive paradox here, right? Because you would expect conservative, traditional groups to support a strict morality law.
Right.
But the journal points out that women's rights advocates and feminists also fought desperately to keep this law on the books.
They did.
Why would progressive advocates want to maintain state-mandated morality? It seems backwards.
Well, it reveals a lot about the economic and social realities of the era. The feminists viewed the criminal adultery law as a necessary weapon for vulnerable women.
Okay. Yeah.
In a historically male-dominated society, a divorced woman in the 1980s or 90s faced devastating social disgrace and severe economic hardship.
Right, they had the whole scarlet letter on them.
Exactly. Often they had no financial independence at all, so the literal threat of sending a philandering husband to prison was one of the very few pieces of leverage a wife had to secure a fair financial settlement in a divorce.
So they were basically using a draconian law as a psychological and legal shield because the broader system was completely stacked against them.
Precisely. Because the historical double standard was incredibly rigid. The research demonstrates that female adulterers were punished much more harshly by society than men.
Typical.
Yeah. A husband's affair was frequently brushed off as an ignorable deviance or just a minor flaw.
Boys will be boys kind of thing.
Right. But a wife's affair resulted in a brutal social scarlet letter that just destroyed her life.
And the media was entirely complicit in enforcing that scarlet letter, too.
Absolutely. The study uses frame analysis to prove that the media acted as direct agents of social control. Reporters relied almost exclusively on police, prosecutors, and judges as their sources for these stories.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this resulted in the media using episodic framing to cover scandals.
Let's break down episodic versus thematic framing, because this is crucial to understanding modern cancel culture.
It really is.
Episodic framing means the media focuses intensely on the specific juicy details of the individual scandal, totally ignoring the broader context.
Right. While thematic framing would examine the societal pressures, the economic factors, or systemic issues contributing to a failing marriage. By focusing on the episodic details, the media cast the individuals as deviants.
Right.
It allowed the rest of society to point fingers at the bad apples and feel morally superior without ever questioning the health of the community itself.
So it is a deliberate mechanism for shaming.
Yes.
Instead of blaming the system, you isolate and target the individual.
Yeah.
But that paradigm broke in 2015.
It did. The Constitutional Court of Korea deliberated on the adultery law 5 separate times over 3 decades.
Wow, 5 times.
Yeah. And finally, in 2015, they abolished it. They ruled that the decision to maintain a marriage should depend on free will and love, not state-mandated criminal punishment.
Right.
So infidelity was downgraded from a criminal offense to just a civil dispute.
So we have the state removing itself from the business of punishing bad partners. But if the law is gone, why is the public still so intensely invested in the morality of Jiyeon and Hwang's breakup?
Because the repeal of the law created a massive vacuum in social accountability, and the court of public opinion, the netizens, stepped in to fill it. They essentially became the new judge and jury.
Okay, I have to challenge that premise, though.
Okay, go ahead.
You're pointing to the 2015 law change as the catalyst for this intense public policing. But frankly, K-pop fans were mobilizing to ruin careers over simple dating rumors long before 2015.
That's true.
Right? Isn't this just the standard toxic parasocial behavior we've always seen, rather than some grand response to constitutional law?
That is a highly valid distinction to make, but I think dating scandals and marriage scandals operate on two completely different cultural axes in Korea.
How so?
Well, dating scandals in K-pop break the fantasy of the accessible idol, right? It's a betrayal of the parasocial contract.
Right, the whole they belong to us delusion.
Exactly, but marriage and divorce touch on the bedrock of societal structure. When the state removed the Scarlet Letter in 2015, the media framing shifted. Since adultery was no longer a crime, reporters stopped relying on the police for sources. The media began treating breakups as private incompatibilities rather than criminal moral failings.
Right.
But the public still craves a moral absolute.
Oh, I see. So because the state isn't handing out the punishment anymore, the fandom feels a heightened moral obligation to deliver it themselves.
The exact.
Think about Hwang's 6 a.m. bar sighting.
Right.
Going to a bar on a day off isn't illegal.
Not at all.
But the netizens acted like it was a crime against the institution of marriage itself. His passive-aggressive TV comments earned him a fierce societal penalty because the audience is enforcing the boundaries the law no longer covers.
The data supports that entirely, but it also reveals a positive evolution in Korean societal mores.
Which is nice to see, honestly.
Yeah, the Chaebazoom article quoted domestic netizens saying, quote, "It's wise to get a divorce when personalities don't match."
Which is a monumental shift.
Huge.
30 years ago, a female celebrity getting a divorce would be a career-ending scandal, regardless of who was at fault. She would bear the Scarlet Letter forever.
But instead, Jiyeon's independence is being celebrated. Her Instagram photos are analyzed for signs of resilience, not guilt.
Yeah.
The public rallying behind her proves that the cultural pendulum has swung away from the draconian double standards of the 90s.
She doesn't need the threat of a prison sentence to protect her anymore.
No, she doesn't.
She has an international fandom, a thriving career, and absolute financial independence. It is a complete inversion of the historical vulnerability the feminists in the 80s were trying to mitigate.
It really demonstrates how rapidly modernization and globalization have transformed Korean family values in just a single generation.
Yeah.
The Hallyu wave hasn't just exported Korean culture, it has accelerated domestic cultural evolution by exposing these rigid systems to global scrutiny.
It is an incredible evolution, but it leaves you with a complex, lingering thought for you to consider.
Okay, what is it?
As the Hallyu wave goes truly global, crossing every border and cultural boundary, does the intense parasocial relationship of K-pop force idols into an impossible paradox?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. Because they're expected to be perfect, devoted partners in their private lives, but also perfectly independent, untouchable stars for their fans.
Yeah, you can't be both.
Exactly. As the spotlight only gets brighter and the fans act as the ultimate moral jury, how will future K-pop marriages survive the pressure cooker of modern media framing?
Navigating that paradox will be the defining challenge for every artist and agency in this new era of global entertainment.
You've been listening to StarScope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.